So I am here with Chester McFly. How are you doing today?
I'm good.
Man, thank you so much for taking the time. You came to my attention because of you're the most recent person who anger has been directed at by Talib Kweli, one of the most hateful people on the internet. I've discussed it previously, in other interviews. He says you hate black people. Let's start off there. Do you hate black people?
No, absolutely not. I live in my neighborhood is mostly a black neighborhood. I live like right outside of Philadelphia.
Okay, so you live in Pennsylvania. That's cool. Why is he calling you a white supremacist? Like, can you detail this?
He calls everybody that though. Like I have black friends who told me on there that like when he fights with them because they like supported Trump, that they're white supremacists too. You know what I mean? Like that he just calls everybody that. It's ridiculous. But it all started with me calling him a hypocrite for him. He called Joe Rogan a racist, and I said, "Well, like, wait a minute there. Like, you said some questionable things and some hypocritical things in your past. So, if you're going to judge him, you got to judge yourself." And then he started going off, "Well, black people can't be racist." I was like, "Whoa, everybody can be racist." And then he's telling me I'm a Nazi, but I'm Jewish. You know what I mean?
Do you understand though, his ideology of like why he believes that black people can't be racist?
Yeah, he's trying to say because black people went through slavery and they were oppressed. And, I get that, but so were Jewish people. I'm part of the smallest minority in the world. I'm a poor Jew.
Well, I don't think that's like the whole reason. I think he believes that black people the idea of racism is designed on power, and that in a society like black people don't really have any power to affect you like in a systemic way. That's when he says but like people disagree. It's like a
I think it's the opposite though, because like I live like I live in the hood pretty much. You know what I mean? And he lives in a mansion. He got money and shit. So out of both of us, me and him, who got the privilege? You know what I mean? I'm on welfare, man. You know what I mean? I'm struggling. I got two kids and a wife. I just lost my job. So, shit's tough, So
definitely. I no, I understand. I mean, I think he's gonna pick that apart, and stuff, everything. Are you a failed rapper? Because that's what he described you as.
yeah, I rapped, and I tried, but like I was getting really into it, and then my father died, and I had to get back to work. You know what I mean? I wanted to explore it. I'm a good MC. I told him I'd battle him anytime too. I have no problem doing that either. So but yeah, I wish I could. I still rap as a hobby, and I keep it as a hobby just to keep it fresh. But it's not like a career choice. You know what I mean?
No, I understand that. What do you feel do you feel like it's a way like you can repair the situation with like Talib Kweli, that and stuff, like will you continue to be a fan of his music? I think you seem like you enjoyed his music before
I
the
love
internet.
his music. And I feel like honestly, like what happened to him after Dave Chappelle Block Party, he went up, he did Chappelle show, he did the Block Party, then nothing, you know what I mean? And I just think he's just very critical. Like I think racism is everybody tries to draw like a line in the sand, right? It's black or white. So I'm Italian and Jewish, right? My grandfather, my father was born in Italy. Like I'm a first generation American. So like as it comes to like oppression and all that, he called me a colonizer. Like there was no slavery in 1955 when my father came to this country. So and as when it comes to that, like I had nothing to do with that. So then when I tried like
One of the points you made, like where you were talking about how black people emulate Italian culture, I know that's not necessarily like a thing that we talk about a whole lot, because black people do talk a lot about people stealing from them culturally, but you pointed out, I think the fact that more blacks go to Italy than they do to Africa,
that's a fact.
and then as far as the immolation of designer clothes, Talib Kweli, for instance, he's doing an Amiri campaign right now, which is so it's an Italian company. I mean, there does seem to be a little truth in that.
That's what I'm saying. When that's what I always say. Like he said something to me before, like white girls can't have braids or dreadlocks, and I'm like, but nobody owns it. And I know I'm bald right now, but when I was younger, my hair was really curly. They used to say I had a Jufro. You know what I mean? But my shit was wavy. It was too wavy. It said bye bye. But what I'm saying is like yeah, when black people get money, a lot of famous celebrities, I see them wearing Gucci, Versace, they drive Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and I don't have a problem with that. I don't look at it as cultural appropriation. But if you're gonna say like me liking hip hop music or me dressing a certain way is cultural appropriation, then you gotta look at it both ways. It's like if you made all this money and you're supposed to be like, this top rapper, like why aren't you buying more black clothing? Why aren't you supporting more black businesses? Why aren't you trying to do anything like that? But no, when you make it, they want to wear Italian stuff. And I just think it's hypocritical. Like if you're going to be saying that, oh, well, you're going to copy my culture, but, I can copy yours. It's like, you can't do that. It's like, I believe culture in America is supposed to be shared. Like they say, we're the melting pot, e corpus unum. It means like everything goes together in this country, you know? For example, I'm Italian and Jewish. My girlfriend is she's German and Irish. Italians don't get along with which are Irish people, German people and Jews, obviously. And then, we came together. My kids, they're American, you know what I'm saying? So like everybody's mixing away. And I said, like a lot of black people in the United States, they said like 90% have Caucasian blood running through their DNA. So like it's like in a way you hate yourself. I just think we need to come together and stop being so hateful and judging each other, because you could say, yeah, it was culturally bad. And if you're saying like racism, like as in the structure, like in banking or like getting a house, like redlining, all that shit, I agree with you. That is, a control thing of power. But if you're just talking about hating people for the color of their skin, or I don't like you because you're white, I'm going to judge you because you're white. I think you have privilege, and I live in the hood. You're just assuming too much shit. You know what I mean? Like you're making it out to be that it's black or white, but I think it's more gray. Everything. I think a lot of shit in the world is gray.
Definitely, man. What's next for you? Like, just as far as like in your life, your career path.
I'm just trying to get a job right now, and I had a strong. I had a friend that was a producer that I used to, get with. I was a videographer. I wanted to get into that, but I just need to stack up some paper, and then I could do that stuff as a hobby and take it further. But right now, I don't know. I'm just trying. I'm struggling.
Definitely, man. Like, I appreciate your honesty and stuff. I think like, it's kind of like, cool though, like, Talib Kweli did like, message you. It's not positive and stuff, but like, do you take like any like, positivity out of it, or like, something good that came out of it?
Um, I thought it was cool that he put me on his page. I thought that maybe we could have a dialogue. That's why I kept saying, like, why don't we do a video chat where, if you don't agree with me, we could talk about it. I think that's like one of the best things you could do. You don't have to agree with everybody, and
Right.
like everybody doesn't have to have the same political beliefs as you. People could like Trump. People could hate Trump. I personally like Robert F. Kennedy Jr. He's a Democrat. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that I don't like Joe Biden because he's just a little creepy for me. But you don't have to agree on everything. I think, and that's the problem. Like 10 years ago, I remember people had all kinds of differences, but they would get along. And it's like everybody's pointing out these differences and making this divide way bigger than it needs to be. You know what I mean?
No, 100%. I believe like, people should be inclusive. I think like, that there's room to like, disagree, like, especially like, like people aren't going to see everything because we all have different experiences. So like, like maybe like, it's good to get together and like, have a conversation and see like, why I see things this way. And then like, maybe like I could take something from you or you could take something from me. But like, I think like his train argument is if you disagree with him, you're a white supremacist, you're a Nazi, you're a bootlicker, so like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't.
ridiculous. Like a lot of things is like, and the same with Italians. Like I was telling him like this, and you can look these numbers up. The second largest group of people that were lynched in the South were Italians. Nobody knows that because when Italian, you know why Italians came to America originally?
No, I don't.
Italians came after slavery was done. They freed the slaves, and then they said they needed people in the fields. They said we would make better Negroes than the Negroes, so they let us come here for that reason. And then in New Orleans, they didn't like us because we would in the South we would sell food to everybody. You know, Italians would have little stands, they would sell to blacks and whites because we didn't know better. We came here like, oh, we're just selling food or whatever. And then you know, the white people didn't like that, and then they started lynching us. There's a place called Little Palermo in New Orleans where they lynched 11 Italians. Is actually listed as the biggest mass lynching in U.S. history. I know there was other lynchings that were bigger and stuff like that, but as far as it wasn't like they just murdered them. It wasn't they didn't hang all of them, but it's still pretty fucked up. It was like another Black Wall Street. They destroyed their whole town. They kicked them out the houses, killed all these people. They were accused of killing some chief, and they didn't. And, you know, it's
Yeah,
the
I'm
same.
familiar with like, the prejudice that like, Italians have faced when they came over to the country. I think about like stories like Sacco and Benzetti and like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, in the 1920s and like, basically like they got indicted for murder, like they didn't commit, and it was like they got convicted, and I think they went to the death penalty because like and it wasn't that they did it, it was just because of like anti-Italian sentiment, and it was like a lot of places and stuff, everything in the country is like you wouldn't be allowed like into certain universities as well. So like I mean like Italians have faced their share of discrimination in this country as well. So
yeah. I mean, one thing I will say is Italians, we did benefit for having lighter skin color. And then after the 1950s, they put us on the US Census as white because they wanted to get the white numbers up. Just like in the 90s, they made Iranians Caucasian on the US Census.
right, yeah, yeah,
So nothing's black or white. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not, oh, you're white, you're black. And it's like, I grew up in West Philly, then I moved to Broomall, which was like a white neighborhood when I grew up. And when I lived out there, people found out I was Jewish, and I couldn't speak English when I first moved up there because I was raised with my grandma. Italian was my first language, and I was treated different. And then for being Jewish, I got teased and got told all kinds of shit growing up for being that. You know what I mean? So that's why I always said like I might be white, but I'm not really white, if that makes any sense.
no,
I'm
no,
not saying I'm black. I'm not saying, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not like your average. I'm not like my girl, basically. You know what I mean?
yeah. Man, like growing up in Philly, like what was your first introduction to hip hop? Like who are some of the artists and stuff, everything you grew up listening to?
Um, my first memory of hip hop was my dad picking me up like when I was like 5 or 6, and I would get in the car and I would play with his radio, and there's a station called Power 99, and I heard this I heard rap. It was like I don't know what it was, but I liked it, and my dad's like, "Oh, you don't want to listen to this," and I'm like, "Why not?" You know, and he's trying to have me listen to rock and roll and shit. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. I like this. I've always liked hip hop ever since.
Man, that's dope. Yeah, like you know, what was like, some of the artists like, you would say like, were your go-tos, like, it's like if you had to list the top five, who would be in it?
My top five, damn, my top five would probably be Eminem, but this is no order. Eminem, Snoop Dogg, Tupac, Nas, Biggie. That's five right there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All those are like, I mean, incredible MCs. Chester McFly, thank you so much for taking the time. Like, anybody you want to shout out?
Uh, this is my girl and my kids, yo. Shout out to Sarah and Giovanni Viviana.
Definitely, man. I appreciate you for taking the time.
Thank you.